All right, good evening, everyone. Okay, so today we have quite a few developments. First of all, there's an announcement by our government that Malaysia My Second Home program will be reactivated. Okay, so today's sessions, if you have any questions about Malaysia My Second Home, feel free to ask us after the main show. What is the main show? Today we have a very special guest from St. Joseph Institutions, which has a very long history in Southeast Asia, including Singapore and Malaysia. We are very honored to have Mr. Gary Cairns to be with us today. He is the Deputy Head of School of St. Joseph Institute. How are you, Gary?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Gary, for joining our show at this hour of the day. So the other day when I had a rehearsal with you, I think this may be the first time you're doing a webinar at 9:30 at night. Is that correct?
It is. We're on school holidays at the moment, so we're not quite into the intensity of the normal school day. So it's fine. Looking forward to it.
Okay. All right. So I'll bring out your slide first. So any questions about MM2H, feel free to ask after the main show. But just to point out, we have a Cantonese session about MM2H on Friday morning, 9 o'clock. So there'll be more announcement during that time. Tonight is going to be a very short session about MM2H. All right, Gary, I bring out your slide. St. Joseph Institutions. Enter to learn, live to serve. Wow, is that your slogan?
Yeah. So I mean, thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be sharing this presentation with you about our school, St. Joseph's Institution International Malaysia. And I think that it's quite fitting that the first words that you see on this slide are enter to learn and leave to serve. Because if you were to walk into our school, as you would pull up to the school, you would see the statue of St. John Baptist De La Salle. But those would be the first words that you would see. And I think that as I move through the slides, I will talk more about the ethos of the school. But I think that those words encapsulate the idea of learning, first and foremost, that school is a place of learning, not just academic subjects, but also how to live a good life, a meaningful life. But also the idea that your what you take from your school experience doesn't end with exam qualifications. Those lessons that we learn in life, they help form us into a well-rounded human being. The idea of service, going out into the community and service, is a very important one for our school. So I'll just move now, and as was introduced, the Lasallian schools have a long history in Asia, and they're called Lasallian schools. They're named after our founder, St. John Baptist De La Salle, who was a priest in 17th century France, and who dedicated his life really to setting up schools for the poor children of France. And the city of Paris. And as that ideology spread and more people became followers of John Baptist De La Salle, eventually those priests move out into this region. And in 1852, 6 La Salle brothers arrived from Europe and they started 2 schools. So the first one, St. Xavier's in Penang, and the second one that I'll talk a little bit more about is St. Joseph's Institution in Singapore, which is obviously where we get our name. But as well as that, those 2 first schools, more than 40 Lasallian schools were founded in Malaysia. And one of the things that I first noticed when I arrived, when I told people that I was working at a Lasallian school, the number of people that wanted to share with you that they had attended one of the schools that you see on that list, because they've got a great reputation for academic excellence, but also those values of shaping students into well-rounded individuals. And you can see there from this little slide that we are part of a global network all around the world. And there are events where we celebrate our Lasallian identity. So in 2019, it was the tricentenary of John Baptist De La Salle's death. So all of those schools around the world, united by that identity, celebrated together. As I said, we are, obviously we talk about faith. And as you'll see from the tour video of the school, there's a chapel within the school and opportunities to celebrate our faith. But we're also an inclusive school as well. So we have students of all different backgrounds, all different faiths, teachers of all different faiths, and we're an inclusive school, so we recognise that and welcome that. Service, our students go out into the community. It's actually built into our curriculum that students learn how to plan and then deliver service activities. They will often work with orphanages, and even during these times of COVID, they've still managed to get and do online learning in the way that we've taught them. And community is another very important aspect. And I would say that were you to join our school, right from that point of admissions, you would get the sense that you were part of a community by the way that we keep that relationship going, even before you join the school. And at the moment, I'm reaching out to lots of different parents to just build that relationship and you help them to get a sense of what it means to be a Lasallian at St. Joseph's. So the school was established in 2016, and that's when I joined. I'd taught in the UK for 4 years, and then I taught in Bangkok for 5 years, Beijing 4 years, and eventually joined St. Joseph's. So it was founded in 2016 by LAPIS, the Lasallian Asian Partnerships for International Schools, in partnership with Tropicana Corporation. And as I mentioned, we're a brother school of that esteemed St. Joseph's institution in Singapore, very old school. In fact, our founding board members, some of them attended that school, which is why they were so passionate about setting up a St. Joseph's in Malaysia. We've also got a close relationship with the international school, St. Joseph's Institution International in Singapore, and we've collaborated with our staff visiting their school for training, and they've come to us. We've also had joint sporting events where our students have competed against each other. So part of that family of schools. So this is very important, our mission and our vision. From its inception, St. Joseph's has been dedicated to bring education to all, especially the last, the lost and least. So continuing that mission of John Baptist De La Salle. So I mentioned the tagline, enter to learn, leave to serve. So an important part of a Lasallian education is to develop good character, a set of core ethical values that enable students to not just be successful in exams, but living fulfilling lives as members of society. And we explicitly teach that. So we believe that good character is not only caught by being around positive role models, but actually you can build opportunities to discuss it in curriculum areas. I'm an English teacher, so we often talk about the moral implications of what our characters do in stories. So good character can be caught and taught. So a few quick facts about the school. As I mentioned, it was opened in 2016, and this is our 6th academic year. We offer the English National Curriculum, a strong emphasis on character education, but we also offer Singapore maths in our elementary school, and our teachers are trained by people from the Singaporean University who teach our teachers how to deliver maths in that particular format. And then there's also a strong focus on Mandarin, with students in the elementary school being offered daily Mandarin lessons. The early years in elementary school are for children aged 3 to 11-year-olds. So when I talk about the elementary school in the early years, that's the ages that I'm referring to. But as well as that, we have the high school, which is for children aged 11 to 18. We have approximately 800 students from 28 countries on roll, and we have a strong teaching body, which is committed to providing academic excellence. And then finally, we also have a pathway for our EAL students, whether they join us in the elementary school or they join us in the high school. There are provisions in place to support students whose first language may not be English. We have a total of 95 teachers, and approximately 75% of those are expatriates, predominantly from the UK, like myself. The school features a 6.5-acre campus that's situated in the heart of the Tropicana township, Petaling Jaya, and it's the surrounding community it's a beautiful area to live. Obviously, I've lived here for 5 years. Came here with a young family, and I think that if you are moving with a young family, the local amenities, the cleanliness, the facilities around this area are absolutely fantastic. Now, in terms of what we offer on site, we have an indoor sports hall, swimming pools, an auditorium, performing arts centre. We have a separate elementary and high school library, state-of-the-art science laboratories, a football field, a basketball court, individual music practice rooms, which are open for our students to book. So if they want to, with their friends, they can go up there at break time, reserve that. It's fully equipped with musical instruments for them to use, as well as a medical room with full-time nurses. And to ensure a safe environment for our students, the school is also equipped with a campus-wide security system. Now, we're very proud of our IGCSE and our IBDP results. And right from our first set of exam results in 2018, we've done fantastically well. So, and I think the real highlight of this that you might be aware of are our IB results from 2021. Now, our IGCSE results from 2021 come out tomorrow, so hopefully they're also excellent. But our IB results from 2021 were phenomenal, and I think that you would be hard pressed to find a school's results that are comparable with these. So this year, 2021, was we had a feeling that we were going to get our first perfect score of 45. I think that when we saw that 50% of our cohort, or 10 students, had achieved a perfect score of 45, we were blown away. And I think, certainly under these conditions where there have been periods of online learning, it was a phenomenal achievement. 78% of students scored 40 and above, which is often sort of a benchmark indicator for getting you into top universities, the top universities around the world. And our average score was 43 points. So we're incredibly proud of those exam results. And I think that it's testament to the hard work of our teachers, definitely the hard work of our students, phenomenal. They did very, very well, as you can see, but also the culture within the school. And I'll talk a little bit about that. These are our students that achieved those amazing scores. And since this was taken, one of those students, Caitlin Tan, has since moved from 44 to 45. And often when we talk about results like this, sometimes people believe that in order to achieve results like this, there has to be that academic push. And that's right, it does, but it doesn't have to come at the expense of developing well-rounded people. And one student in their particular stands out for me, Emily Ung, who scored 45. She was our Lasallian of the year, the highest accolade, but that is not for academic results. That's for somebody who goes the extra mile to help their classmates. And I think that that was key to the secret of, really the secret of their success, because when we spoke to them afterwards, they told us that when they had a particular skill at something, they would help each other. And they set up study groups late into the night. If they had a question, they were WhatsApping each other. And really, rather than just focusing on their own academic achievement, they looked to pull each other up with them. And that, I think, was so instrumental in them achieving those results. And of course, as a result of that, they've gone off to some of the most prestigious universities around the world. And you can see from the list there that we've had students, even though we've only been open since 2016, you can see the universities that our students have gone off to: Oxford, UCL in the UK, Imperial College, London School of Economics, Durham, as well as the US, Princeton, University of Berkeley. So we've also got a very strong relationship with universities in Asia as well. In particular, as you'll see from the students that have obtained scholarships, Yale, NUS in Singapore, fantastic university. And we've actually, out of 4 years, we've had 3 out of 4 years where students have achieved a scholarship and gone off to Yale, NUS. So our students have gone to top universities all around the world. We've got a fantastic university counsellor that, when you get to this stage, would work with your child to help them get on the course that they aspire to. So this is an example of the curriculum pathway. So we have our early years foundation, which is for students around the age, begins at the age of 3. And even in that early years foundation, there's still those daily Mandarin lessons. In fact, my son has daily Mandarin lessons and comes home and teaches me a few phrases. But we have that Singapore Maths, and it's based on the English National Curriculum. Then Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 is our elementary school curriculum. We follow the English National Curriculum, and we use something called the IPC, which is a way of delivering that curriculum in a more internationally minded way. As I said, we have Singapore Maths, as well as a wide selection of languages for students in those year groups. Then, as we move into the high school, these are our foundation years. So our students in years 7, 8, and 9, so this is often for students between the ages of 11 and 14, will study a curriculum that prepares them for the IGCSE and then the IB diploma. Okay, and then when they are in year 10, that's when they start preparing for the IGCSE, which I'm sure that you know is really the gold standard qualification for that particular age group. And then we offer the IBDP, so the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program for our students in years 12 and year 13. So those students who did that IBD, those were the results that you just saw. So as I said, you've got a university placement and careers education. Support will be provided by qualified counsellors. And now that we've been open since 2016, we're actually utilising our alumni. So those students that have gone off to those fantastic universities are now coming back in that spirit of service and providing guidance and support to our younger students. So they're running sessions. A couple of them who are doing medicine in the UK were our guest speakers at our graduation this year. And we are now putting them in contact. So if we have a student that is interested in Oxford, we'll put them in touch with our student who is at Oxford University. and they'll provide guidance on things like how to write the application form, how to prepare a personal statement. So I think that utilizing the experience of those alumni are very, very important. And that's something that will only grow over the next few years. So final word really on our teachers. Our teachers are committed to our Lasallian values. They're role models. They're passionate about holistic education. We're just planning our induction program right now for our teachers, and you can see that spirit of holistic education runs right through that program. They have high expectations. So that's high expectations of themselves as teachers. We have high expectations of our students, but we also, as well as having those high expectations, have brilliant pastoral support, because in order for students to achieve those results, you also have to take care of them. You have to provide support. You have to provide guidance on how to look after yourself physically and mentally as you strive for those top academic results. We use academic research to inform our practice, and we have professional learning communities and working parties. So we're always looking to improve as teachers. Our teachers are primarily from the UK, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, America, and Canada. All of our teachers have a degree and a recognized teaching qualification, as well as, many of our teachers have masters in education or educational leadership. And then we also have specialist language teachers from Malaysia who teach subjects such as Malay and Mandarin. So that's really, I think, the key points of the presentation, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Gary. But before we begin the Q&A, I think it's a good idea just to show the facilities of the school to the we have a video to play on that. Let me just bring the video first, and if there's any questions about studying in St. Joseph, or particular to Gary, please ask the questions after the video. Okay, Gary, so that's the facilities. It was taken during this year, is that correct?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, because I think it's very seldom that you don't see anyone in the school, which likely is during the time where we had the previous period where everybody study at home. Okay, is there any questions for Gary or anyone who are interested to find out what's the difference between St. Joseph Singapore or St. Joseph Malaysia, okay, so you can ask him that. But by the way, what's the difference, Gary?
Well, I think that the school in Singapore, the international school, has been open longer. So I think they are now. I think they've been open 15 years. So the international school there has been open a little bit longer. Their trousers are a slightly different shade of green. But the identity, I think, is very similar. So, I've been over to Singapore to do some training on, character education and holistic education. So I think that there's a very similar ethos, really. The only difference, or the key difference, I would say, is they're probably further along with their journey because they've been open 15 years.
I see. Okay, but if anyone chooses to study in Malaysia, you are still getting the same quality education as compared to the one in Singapore. Obviously, they should have more, a longer, more established reputations by being in the journey for more than 15 years. Whereas St. Joseph in Malaysia have actually a very long history because of the Lasallian's roots. There are a lot of Penangites where coming from Penang who study in St. Xavier's. Okay, so it's also part of the Lasallian's schools or group of schools. I would say that. Okay, so thanks a lot, Gary, for the very detailed presentations. And I think there are more. If there are expatriates who intend to let the children study, Lasallian's value as well as St. Joseph's institutions definitely will stand out as one of the top schools in Kuala Lumpur or Greater Kuala Lumpur region. Okay, I can see that from the way you presented. Who doesn't want the children to be around with about 50% of the students who score full score in IB? Okay, because I understand that international IB syllabus require a lot of collaborations. So if you're along the same group which are so high achievers, there is a good chance that hopefully the children will be in good company. Okay, thank you, Gary, for the presentation. So I'll play another video at the moment, which is about this Malaysia My Second Home. But before we go towards that, there's a question from Carter Liu. If school is open, are students allowed to opt for online class? Okay, there's a question about whether the students are allowed to go for online classes if the schools are open. What is your take on this, Gary?
Yeah, I think that in the current environment, schools have to be flexible and adapt. And we have been discussing plans to have just that, whereby if parents want to opt to keep their children at home right now, that's we're putting that in place.
Okay, so this will be allowed. So which means that if you have children who are not yet in Malaysia, they can also sign up and opt for online class. Is that correct, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the time frame, we're still waiting for information from the Ministry of Education about when we can open. And what we know is that schools are opening in phases. And I think that initially it's likely to be examination groups. So non-examination groups would be online. So we're going to put checkpoints in over the course of the year to keep assessing the situation. But we are in talks to offer just that.
Okay. All right, so this concludes our sessions about St. Joseph's institutions. Thanks a lot, Gary, and thank you, Tony, although you are not in the picture, for arranging this as well. So stay tuned. Please join our webinars about Malaysia My Second Home. Should you be interested to know more about the latest guideline, but it will be conducted in Cantonese on Friday morning 9 o'clock. Okay, in the meantime, I'll play a video which is actually about a very short one to introduce to everyone about Malaysia, my second home. Okay?
Are you thinking of moving to Malaysia? Stay tuned with MM2H Club to learn more about Malaysia. Hi everyone! Are you thinking of moving to Malaysia? Stay tuned with MM2H Club to learn more about Malaysia, especially the official program called Malaysia My Second Home, or better known via its short form MM2H. Malaysia government introduced the Golden Visa program MM2H in 2002. But actually this program was a successor of the well-received Silver Hair program introduced in 1996, which literally means that you have to grow your white hair before you are allowed to join the retirement program. To date, there are more than 50,000 families applied for MM2H, as the program allows successful applicants to bring along their parents, children, and spouse or even spouses, as long as it is legal. And as it is no longer called Silver Hair Program, applicants below 50 years old who does not have silver hair yet are welcome too. But what's the requirements to join the program? Mainly, there are two aspects: financial and security requirements. For financial requirements, the applicants will need to demonstrate the financial capability to be able to support themselves without the need to work in Malaysia. So it is usually demonstrated via personal financial assets and monthly income from outside Malaysia. Once the approval is granted, the applicant has to place fixed deposit in Malaysia as part of the joining condition. For the security requirement, driving under influence will be an issue too. Secondly, the person coming to Malaysia must obtain national security clearance from the relevant agency in Malaysia. As an example, the background should not have elements that may raise the red flag of potential security issue. Finally, all the family members must undergo a mandatory health check via a designated medical center in Malaysia and must possess a health insurance in Malaysia. We shall explain more about this in subsequent videos. So, what convinced more than 50,000 families to choose Malaysia as their second home? There are many reasons. Some are attracted by the lifestyle in Malaysia, which is very suitable for retirement living, with the world-class private healthcare facilities at a fraction of the cost of their home country. Some prefer their children to enroll in the international education in Malaysia. Then, there are those who just want to invest in a second home for financial and security reasons. Who knows what will happen in the future? Thus, it is always wise to have options available when we need it. And that's exactly the reason we started this channel, to provide you with more information and options about Malaysia. If you'd like to know more about Malaysia, remember to like and subscribe to our channel. And please share the good stuff with your friends so that they may one day join you in Malaysia. Selamat datang! That's how we welcome all of you to Malaysia in a safe and joyous manner. At least you learned a new Malay phrase today.